that very famous volcano? The Trump volcano has suspended its activity. It no longer smokes as cheerfully as in the early days, doesn't puff as much, and doesn't spew peacemaking lava as vigorously. Apparently, the Trump volcano is pondering. It hasn't yet realized that the Kremlin guy, sprawled on the courts, just spits sunflower seed husks at him, and whether Donald will blow himself off because of the husk that pierced him or will continue to be covered by it is very hard to predict. He himself, of course, is very experienced. He's used to bluffing, but he doesn't expect that. The bluff can be as brazen as Putin's. In any business, the rules of etiquette dictate mixing in some bluff into any declarations, promises, and agreements. But usually it's between civilized people. They're, well, 15, 20, but at most 30% of bluff, but not 146, as is customary. For Putin, however, there is no way back. And in passing, once again in a conversation with live props in the form of submariners on a submarine, probably forgetting that he is a passionate and sincere participant in the great peacekeeping process. Putin promised, as always, to kill everyone and rob everyone. But in general, it must be said that to stink of rotten meat, in the skill of stinking of rotten meat, competing with Putin is useless. As soon as he opens his mouth, everyone around becomes dumber. Well, truly a great talent. And one way or another, Putin once again managed to stink up such hopelessness, malice, and death that all hopes of romantics for peace suffocated. Let's note, and that for his monologues, the ghoul has started to choose his settings more carefully. He understands that dripping, poison, and blood from fangs, even false ones, needs to be done against a very appropriate background. And the interior of the nuclear submarine cruiser Arkhangelsk is, boom, exactly what's needed. It's me, the video clip, where he suddenly promises to finish off not just press, but finish off Ukraine. But there's no point in examining the substantive part of this entire ghastly stand-up. It's pointless. It's a tiresome soup mix of lies, blackmail, and fantasies and boasting. But what Putin says has long ceased to matter. It's clear that he will never say anything new or goods anymore. And why do people listen to him? Solely to assess the level of Kremlin's malice. And this particular invective of his on the submarine showed that in general the level has significantly increased. It's hard to say who exactly filled Putin with the confidence that he can actually pressure and crush someone. In the fourth year of the war, in the fourth year of the deadly pounding into the senseless ruins of border towns, victorious statements can no longer be taken seriously. But probably Gerasimov, the chief of the general staff, set up Putin again. This bulging-eyed, bashful blockhead is simply delaying his own death hour. He understands that he can easily be sent to the food waste disposer in the Kremlin kitchen. And all the time he tells joyful lies to Putin, just to Putin, simply to leave the next audience alive. Nothing else can explain the stupor in which Putin resides and his confidence in successes. However, this nasty Putin theater on the submarine has already borne its fruits. Channels everywhere are anxiously spreading information about a supposed global offensive by the Russian Federation along the entire 1,000-kilometer front line, expected at the end of April. But this is evidence of Putin's hypnotic abilities, but not at all a hidden ace up his sleeve, an unknown new army. Even if the Kremlin decides on a general mobilization and doubles the number of personnel, bringing it to a couple of million, its readiness is not for April, not for May, and not even for summer. And the real state of Putin's horde right now is such that it can only be helped by installing rocket engines on crutches and the invention of self-propelled prosthetics